Hey guys, so if you haven't already taken advantage of apartment locating, what are you doing? Especially with what's going on with the settlement. There's a lot of big changes right now in the market and for the real estate landscape when you think about it. You got the NAR settlement that's making being a realtor even harder than it already was. Okay, with the mandatory buyer reps. What else? Now it's not the norm that the seller of the house pays both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So buyer agents have to negotiate even more than normal, and 3% is not the norm. So people will be okay. It's real estate. Okay, there's tons of money to be made, but the truth is that being a realtor is even harder than what it was. Okay, before the settlement. So more clarity on that in July. But anyhow, if you guys haven't already discovered that as a real estate agent, you can just focus on standard apartment complex referrals to earn six figures and build the quickest real estate pipeline, then I'm not sure why you haven't realized that. It's the easiest thing to do, and we're unaffected from the NAR settlement. The settlement doesn't change anything with apartment locating. Another thing to note is that interest rates are still over 7%. I mean, here in my city, even if you have an over 750 credit score, mortgage interest rates are still over 7% for 30 years. And so, what's like the average going home here in this market in Austin, the capital of Texas? And Texas is a pretty good indicator of markets in general. It's not as expensive as like California or Boston, but it's not a cheap market either. So Texas is a really strong market, especially in Austin. But here in Austin, to buy a standard like 2,000 square feet, one story, three bedroom, two bath, that built in, I don't know, 2016. So it's not brand new, but it's not old, and it's a decent home, right? Like good size, 2,000 square feet, has a backyard. It's a 3-2. You're spending like at least $450,000 for something decent. Okay, and so the problem right now in the market, and that renters know, or people know that are looking to buy or rent, they know that, say they put 5% down on a home, because let's say they don't have 20% down payment, so then you put 5% down or 3.5% down, whatever, right? If you put down that down payment, it's five figures, okay? And then your mortgage on a 30-year mortgage for like a $450,000 priced home is $1,000 more than what it would be if you just rented it for the same valued property. So that's the big driver on why people are in the market to rent, and they're just waiting out. They're just waiting out, waiting out. They're like, interest rates are high. We don't have a huge down payment because no one really does. And they're just waiting for the interest rates to drop. Okay. Prices have come down just a little bit in Austin as far as home prices, but it's still higher than what it was a couple of years ago. But prices are not as high. Like, we're not at the peak. It's the prices are coming down, but the interest rate's over 7%. So it's literally just go do the math. Just Google free mortgage loan calculator and put in like, I want to buy a home for 450 grand. Just a basic nice home, and put 5% down. Put 5% down. Let's assume our clients don't have 80 grand for a 20% down payment, or 90 to 100 grand for a down payment. Okay. So you put 5% down. That's like 20 grand. Let's say it's a $450,000 home and they put like 5% down. Okay. So that's like what, $22,000 down. More realistic for people. Okay. And then look at the payments. Look at the mortgage. It's $1,000 more than if you just would rent the same house as a renter. So I say this to you guys because people are finding this out. Like, unless you buy a home in cash right now, your mortgage payments are higher than rent. You can go rent a $450,000 3 bedroom, two bath for $1,000 less than the mortgage. The mortgage ends up being like $3,500 or something, and you can rent the same home for $2,500. So people are just renting and then not putting anything down. They just do first deposit, maybe last deposit, but it's better than a 5% down payment. So they're staying more liquid. They don't have to come up with down payment. They're going to go rent the same home they want to buy and pay $1,000 less. That's what's happening right now in a lot of markets. Okay. And so if there's more rental activity right now, it goes to show that the locating business is strong because it revolves around multifamily rentals. Now, with apartment locators, we focus more on like apartment rentals, but the clientele that want like a rental style home, you can still upsell them the way we teach to apply to like an apartment community that's strictly townhomes with an attached garage, etc., like 2 stories. So they get the rental house feel, but it's still an apartment community. There's tons of those. And then you just upsell it because you go into how with a standard rental house, you do a full month of deposit and last month as a deposit. So it's like 2 months of deposit. Here in Texas, at least, with an apartment community, even if it's a townhome community, it's usually like a $50 app fee and a couple $100 for a deposit, and that's it. And then the apartment's reserved. So it's even less out of pocket when you rent an apartment. Okay. So that's just what's going on right now, right? Over 7% interest rates, etc. So apartment locating is really cool because you can get into a niche that's easier, right? There's no paperwork, no contracts, so there's less chance that you have to deal with like lawsuits and stuff because we don't even really deal with contracts in the first place. We book Zoom calls, we send over lists of good matches. Okay, say you want an apartment, you book a Zoom call with me. My website got the pre-qual, like what you're looking for. So on the call, I'm just meeting you, being friendly, greeting you, telling you I'm going to send you over a list of apartment matches after confirming the pre-qual that's automatically generated through the website, the way we set up our infrastructure. And that's it. It's like a 10-minute Zoom call. And then once I send over that list, it just becomes a follow-up game. So I'll follow up with you on Trello, the system we teach, and then I'm just helpful throughout the follow-up after that 10-minute appointment until you find an apartment and write my name or company name down so I can bill the apartment a month or 2 months as commission. So it's a lot easier, that model. It's just a lot easier to do that. And then naturally, when these renters evolve and they want to become first-time home buyers, you can just represent them then. And then it makes being a buyer agent that much easier, okay? Because you're not having to lead gen like normal realtors for brand new buyers to work with you or listing agreements and fighting for like who's going to get the listing. That kind of marketing is more expensive. But if you work with people that are in the market just to rent an apartment, it's super easy. Right? Most people still don't know what an apartment locator is. There's like less than 3,000 of us compared to 1.5 million active realtors. So it's still a very, very small niche, and it always has been. So it's tons of opportunity. The rental market is booming anyways right now with high interest rates. There's even more clientele, which is better for us locators. The model's easier. It's paperless. You can do it anywhere as long as you can book a Zoom call. So you could be anywhere as long as your laptop, has Wi-Fi. And it's the fastest way to build your real estate pipeline and then naturally just evolve with your clients when they want to buy their first home. Boom, then you represent them, right? The easiest thing to do is just upsell those renters that you've helped lease an apartment to. Explain to them the benefits of doing a new home construction and then just send them and refer them to like a new home neighborhood community and just have them pick any home in the neighborhood. Then you've got another staff from the new home builder working with you, helping to close your client, and then they pay you. All right, so that's sort of the model. That's how you can go around the NAR settlement and not like it doesn't change much for us, right? The model is still the same with how we teach it. Like start with apartment locating, make 6 figures with rentals. Okay, there's an increase in rental activity now, anyways. And then once they want to buy their first home, you just represent them then and hopefully push them over to a new home community because it's easier than resale and you still don't need access to the MLS. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is go through the group and answer some questions and stuff that people post in there. That's it. Then I'm going to get back to work. Okay, let's see. All right, so what's up, Brooke? Is anyone here an attorney who could look over a lease agreement? So that's really nice of you, Brooke, that you're trying to help your clients with that sort of thing. But just it's always good to keep in mind as a locator, don't like over deliver too much for your clients. Renters and people in general sometimes are in weird situations and they ask things of us that are outside of our job duties. So to make your life better and not confusing and not working, more than you have to, I would just stick to like the point of the locator service, right? So when people work with an apartment locator, it's because they're not familiar with the city, the whole online with websites, or trustingapartments.com when it's like a database that covers a whole country, right? People work with locators because it's a better experience. They can talk to someone, and we're licensed professionals that focus on the one market that we focus on usually, right? Or 2 markets. So they want to work with us because our database is more accurate. It's better than apartments.com. They get the human touch, they get our expertise, and it's free, right? And so your job as a locator really is just to understand what they're looking for in their apartment rental. If they're looking for a rental house, I try to upsell them for a townhome apartment community. If they really want a rental house, I just refer them to someone else. That's outside of my model, what do I do for people. Okay. And if they're asking you other things that are unrelated, your job as a locator is to broker the referral. You're the middle person. Okay. There's like a renter that wants to rent an apartment, then there's a locator in the middle, and then there's the apartment community. So if you can help them match, help the renter match with a good apartment that works for them, that meets all their needs, right? AKA the prequal, then that's kind of your whole job. That's all we really do is we generate leads. We let them know that we're going to take care of them. We specialize in the market so they can trust us. And then based off of what they're looking for, we say, hey, these 5 apartments are exactly what you're looking for. You said you wanted a yard. Boom. You said you wanted built within the last 5 years. Okay. You said you wanted a 2-bedroom, at least, 1,100 square feet or higher. So these apartments, these 5 are like right in the area where your daycare is, and it's in your budget, and it meets everything. So you should go to these, you should check out these 5 and then apply to one of them, right? This one, the one that pays higher, usually has a better incentive. So I'm like, hey, out of these 5, pay attention to this one because there's a huge move-in special and it matches your criteria. Usually when there's a huge move-in special for the client, they pay the locator a lot too. It's just like what happens, right? Because if an apartment's really like motivated to lease that unit, they're going to up the commission to the locator, and they're also going to up the special, like a month free, to the renter. So usually when it's a good deal for your client, it's also a good deal for you. Like you'll make more. It's just what happens. Okay. And so that's what you do. That's the whole service, right? And then you just follow up with them and you're friendly. That's literally the whole job, right? So, hey, these are the 5 apartments that work for you. What else you want to know about this? Like, you want to know about the area? There's a new HEB right there. It's really cool. This location gives you access to all 3 major highways, so that's good. But you're not right off the highway. Like just be a locator. Just help them with what is important to them. But that's all you're really doing. So outside of like your thoughts on the property, it matching the prequal, don't get into other services that are outside of your realm. Like if someone's like, hey, can you help me like sign this lease? No, because the apartment staff helps them with that. So and you don't have to say no, but you can tell them in a nice way and just be honest with them and say, hey, look, apartment leases are always a little bit different with every community, so I can help you generally. If you have like a general question about the lease, of course I can help you, right? And then you can give them good advice like, hey, apply, pay your deposit, pay your app fee, lock the unit down, but don't sign it until move-in date. Like that's like the best advice you can give anyone anyways. Like don't sign the actual lease, because the apartment's like, as soon as you apply and get approved within a day or two, they email over that lease and they're like, sign it, sign it, sign it. But you don't technically have to. So you can tell your clients, hey, it's cool. Like when you pay your app and your deposit, it's locked down. So you're good, right? Did you provide your proof of income? Okay, great. They have your proof of income. They've got your fees. They got your application approved. So you're good. The apartment's yours. You have until move-in date to sign the lease. So tell your clients, I recommend signing the lease on the day of move-in, right? So that way, if it wasn't available to tour, they can tour on that day. And if they don't like the walkthrough, then they don't sign the lease, right? That sort of thing. So most apartments let you sign on the day of move-in. It's just true. You just ask, right? Especially if it's like not on the market to tour, so you don't really know what the actual unit looks like, then it's okay to wait till move-in. So you can give them advice like that, like general lease advice. But if a client's like, can you help me fill it out? I mean, no, it's like, hey, you should go to the apartment staff. And because the application and the leases are always a little bit different, like there's different providers. There's like Blue Moon software, other softwares, LRR, YieldStar. There's different kind of softwares for the lease, so that it's always a little bit different per property. That's true. So you tell your client that and say like you would be in much better hands if it's just like a lease question to ask the staff at the community, right, about like particular questions about their lease, because the leases are generally similar, but they're still custom. So it's like, don't ask me, because I'm just going to ask them and then relay to you. It's like, tell your client, if it's a lease question, ask the property directly, and they'll help you apply. They know about their lease contract more because they all slightly differentiate. But you can give them general advice. And if a client is asking you like, hey, can you review my lease and just make sure it's like legally correct? Well, no, because we're not lawyers, And so I know a lot of us are like, we really want to help our clients and be that really helpful, doing the most sort of locator, so that way we can build a relationship with them and they'll think of us. But the reality is that creates more work for you that's unnecessary, and you're not even doing them a service anyways, because we shouldn't be going over lease contracts and providing any kind of legal advice as a locator. Realtors sort of do that, and there's usually like a lawyer on retainer at the firm because it's kind of standard practice for a realtor to like go over contracts and really review, give their, so like the legal stuff and contracts, that's more for like that's more realtor work. But as an apartment locator, you don't have to give legal advice or review leases. Just have the staff do that. Like as long as someone does that, right? Think about resale. When you're representing a client and they're doing a resale property, the professionals are the buyer brokerage, the seller brokerage, and then the title company, but the title company like way later. So during the actual negotiation and stuff, that's why people have buyer agents, because they do support them with offers and contracts and the timing and if everything looks okay and it's legally okay. And usually both firms, the broker firm and the listing brokerage firm, they both have like lawyers on retainer. Okay, so it makes sense why they would ask for help for a real estate professional to look over the lease term or the contract. But for locators, it's just not really the norm because the apartment staff, they take care of lease questions and applications and what to expect because they created the document. It's not like a promulgated contract that most realtors use, right? It's like specific to the property. So if someone's asking you like, can you go over the lease, or I have a question about the lease, you can give them general advice. It's quick, but like usually it's a better idea to send them over to the property and say like, hey, ask the property because they created the custom lease contract anyways. Then you do less work, right? So you do less work and it's really outside of the service that you offer. Don't get into like trying to find a lawyer for your clients too. Like, oh, let me ask around to see if I can get a lawyer pair of eyes to look over this for you. Like, no, right? It's just outside of your services. So I would recommend that they consult their own lawyer if they have one. And if they don't, I would just ask questions to the property. Don't get into legal stuff and don't do extra work. That's why a big thing that I teach is to work remote. Like I don't even tour client. I don't even go on tours with clients anymore because it's not necessary. And if you really think about that process, it's actually better for your client that you're not on tour. It's better for you because then you can do more work and more business and have more chances to close. And it's better for the property because you're not at loggerheads with the on-site staff trying to do the same job, and the client doesn't feel bombarded. Like there's an agent and a staff on site, both trying to close them. So it's actually better for everyone if we work remote. You just got to think about the details in this. Gerald says, I finally listened to Pierre. I don't deal with invoices anymore, and what a relief. Not only do I not stress or try to figure out how to get paid, I have an increase of leases. An increase of leases. Build the pipeline and let someone else clean up the aisle GP, aka get paid. Okay, you guys are actually listening to me. That's good. Okay, so Aaron says, I'm still waiting on a check from last July. Trust me, I feel your pain, but I plan to look into partnering with an attorney. Yeah, but more so your brokerage firm should have a plan B with an attorney. That's one of the things I'm going to teach in our upcoming program, the Bulletproof Collections Blueprint. That's designed more for brokerage firms to take advantage of that, not solo agents. But that's one of the exit strategies I'm going to teach, is how to partner up with the right law firm. There's a trick, right? Because not all law firms are the same for locating. But yeah, if you're still waiting on a check from like last July, so it's been like almost a year, there's an error in your standards of protocol somewhere. It should not take 9 months to collect a check in apartment locating. That's crazy. That means something's wrong. So like if you really referred someone over, they wrote your name on the application, like there's no discrepancy with that, and they pay locators, like it's your client actually moved in and started paying rent. There's no reason it should take 9 months to get, and you're still waiting on a check. Like usually properties pay between 1 month. I've been paid in 10 days once before. It was really cool. It was like Highline in North Austin that paid in 10 days because I leased so much with them that they just started recognizing me and just paying me faster. But apartments typically pay for anywhere from 2 weeks to like 3 months max. If they don't pay in 3 months, at our firm, that's when we consider that a past due invoice, and we give all of those to our lawyer partner, and they collect. And once they start collecting and they know it's from like our law firm department partner, then they pay even without any convincing. But you should have a standard of protocol that if you're waiting on checks that are 90 days or more, that's considered past due. So you have to have like a backup plan on what's happening. But it also depends on if you've been doing collections right, up until the 90 days. A lot of apartment locating companies, they don't do collections right. They like send one email over and then never say anything else ever again. And that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to follow up every single week in case there's an email change, a manager change, an assistant manager change, a new management company change, a new invoicing online platform change. Sometimes people go from OPS to RMIS, from RMIS to NetCafe. Like there's a lot of things that could happen in apartment locating collections. So you have to have a weekly process, but then once if you're doing what you're supposed to do every single way, the way we're going to teach in our new program, if you're doing everything the right way every single week and then it hits 90 days, then it's considered past due and you turn those over to the exit strategy. Okay? That program isn't out yet, but it's under development, and then we'll let everyone know once the bulletproof collections blueprint is available, because right now it's not available. Yeah, so it's all about doing collections right. Okay, you should never have checks that are over 3 months, and if you do, then you turn those to a law partner, and then they collect. Tammy's referring over a lead from the Houston market. Thanks for hopping on here, guys, inside the group, and then just giving free leads and referrals away to everyone. That's really cool, because people that are just now finding out about what apartment locating is, it's nice for them to join a free Facebook group and then just see lead referral opportunities. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Tammy. Looks like someone took you up on that lead. And then Mario says, I've been blocked on Facebook Marketplace a couple of times now. The first one lasted a month or so. The second one was this morning, and I was able to ask for a review, and now I can use Marketplace again. There's we teach in our program, in our paid program, there's like a contact that we refer over that fixes the Marketplace blocking. But that's not the only platform. There's tons of other ways to market as an apartment locator. Okay, it's not just Marketplace. Marketplace is free, so it's definitely not the main one. Okay. Someone says don't post URLs, don't advertise any services. What you can do now is you can actually, we've been teaching, like you can upload a QR code graphic as a picture. And so now with the smartphones, if people just long press on the QR code, then it shares the link and they can just access the link that way, or they can scan it through their camera. But QR codes are cool now. Like if there's a picture of a QR code, like let's say on Craigslist or something, or Marketplace, if you upload a picture of a QR code, people can just on their smartphones hold down and it takes them to the link so that they don't actually have to scan anymore. Isn't that cool? One of the things we teach in the program, right? So that way you can keep like the description within terms of service, compliant, and then just in that picture still lead them to your website. Zia says, who is the best apartment locator in Boston? I got a juicy lead for you. What's up, Zia? Zia did like 50 grand like last month. And I think is he in San Antonio? I think you're in San Antonio, Zia. Congratulations. He's like an all-star locator. It's cool that he is part of our program. He's just so naturally gifted anyways. He was already a gifted locator, but I mean, 50K as a locator. He hit me up the other day and he's like, yeah, I'm at 50K this month. I'm like, geez, bro, that's a lot. That's like me full time, 50 grand's a lot as a locator. Because that's just a lot of clients. It's like 30 or 40 referrals in a month, like 30 referrals. That's a lot of clients and a lot of follow-up, to close 30 or 40 people in a month to do like 50K plus. So awesome if you can hit those unusual numbers. Like here's the thing with locating. Anyone can do 10 grand. Anyone can do 10 grand. I just follow the system we have in place. If you do our infrastructure, if you market the way we teach, then you have our infrastructure, right? We work with like leading companies. Nothing is silly about our process. It's like Calendly, Zoom, a landing page, a CRM that works, Trello, because it's the easiest daily follow-up thing to use. Like we teach industry standard software, industry leading software, state of the art. Like the trick is how we set everything up and plug it in so everything's automatic, right? Like the locators that go through our program, they have automatic guest cards that are generated. So if you're at a firm and you're still doing paper guest cards or manual guest cards, or you're typing stuff in, that's not the way anymore, right? Our guest cards are generated automatically on Trello. It just becomes a card, like boop. So when people go through the website and you get all their pre-qual, it turns into a guest card automatically and follows up with them and reminds them about the Zoom call. Everything's automatic and automated. That's what's cool about our system. So if you lead gen the way we show you, right? Most of the lead gen is organic. The second source is like, hopefully your broker gives you some free leads to get going. Okay. That's why it's like you should pick a locating focused brokerage firm. But if you pick a locating focused brokerage firm, they give you some free leads to get you going. You set up all the organic marketing that we teach you, and then everything else we teach you. All right. And then you set up like our infrastructure. So you have a website that works, that's fast, that does your auto pre-qual, books a Zoom call, and creates an automatic guest card. Like if you have that in place, okay, and then you're just decent over Zoom calls, like you show up for 10 minutes, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Okay, what are you looking for? Okay, and you're just nice to people, and then you are decent at following up after the 10-minute Zoom call, making sure they got their questions answered, right? Like you do have to follow up with people to close them. But if you can do a 10-minute Zoom call, set up the infrastructure we teach you, it's so easy to do 10 grand. It's not hard to do 10 grand or more. It's just not. Like the average lease now is like $1,500. That's like a 1-bedroom price. Okay. 2 bedrooms are like over $2,000 now. If you want like a 2014 or newer, decent 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, class A, like decent 2014 and up in Austin, it's like $2,400 or more for like a nice 2-2, right? So a 1-bedroom rent is like, I don't know, say $1,500. You can get a 1-bedroom for. If you do just 8 of those, like super conservative, you do 8 referrals. All right, Zia did like over 50K last month. He's awesome, right? I've done over 50K before, working really hard. Okay, not gonna lie, it was a lot of follow up. But if you just do 8 referrals, like you don't have to close 30 or 40. Alex is doing 6 figures in Florida. Angela crushes it. Has always done 6 figures. I don't even know what her smallest month is. There's a lot of our students that just crush it with locating, but even if you just do 8 referrals a month at like $1,500 average tickets, 8 times $1,500 is already $12,000. You know, if I work full time, 8 is low. Eight is like embarrassingly low for me. But I like to teach 8 because it's conservative and it gives you an idea of what you can expect in the industry. If you really set up the infrastructure right, the way we show you, you market right, you work the free leads from your broker, and you're decent on the Zoom call and follow up, there's no reason you can't close 8 people in a month. These people have to rent an apartment with or without you. Like if someone's calling you, if I'm calling you, hey, I need an apartment, whether you're going to help me or not, I still need an apartment. So as long as you're nice, and I like you were nice to me, you explained everything well. In fact, your website does most of the heavy lifting anyways. So by the time I book a call, I already know the deal. But as long as you're like decently polite to me, you do help me, you send me apartment matches that will work, and you just follow up with me for a little bit, I'm going to apply and write your name down. So if you can do that 8 times in a month, 8 times $1,500 is you're already over 10 grand a month. Okay. So really you have to do like 7 referrals in a month to hit like your 10K. Right. So you can absolutely do 10K. Doing like 50K is hard because it's just a lot of it's a lot of clientele, a lot of follow up. It's like every day you're like following up with 30 people. That it is a little tougher to do that. Like to do 50K months, it's hard. It's hard. You're working full time, and it's like just a lot of follow up. But it's possible. But if your goal is like over 10K and that's it, I mean, that's not that hard. And so just understand the value you bring to the market, and you can easily do it with good setup and with a good guidance and mentorship. Okay. All right, let's continue. Anyone know of any places in Austin that take violent felonies like 10 years ago? You know, in my experience as a locator for several years, I have like 9 years experience, but usually when I work with clients, someone asked this anonymously, so I don't know who asked this, but usually when I deal with clients that have like a felony or something, there's usually in every major part of the city. This is how I'll explain this. So like in Northeast, and there's like 3 options. This is what once you just locate for years, you just know, right? Like Northeast, there's like 3 options. Northwest, there's like 3 options. Central, there's like 2 or 3 options. Downtown, there's like 2 options. So it's like, you know, when someone wants an apartment and they have a felony or whatever, right? Violent felony, really any felony. It doesn't even matter the charge. Assault is really, really risky. I wouldn't even work an assault charge. I just would refer them to someone else, or just be like, I don't know. But when someone has a felony, they usually don't want to live. They're usually not open to like the whole city, right? No one's going to tell you like I can live northeast, south, central, downtown. Like they're not. No one's going to say that to you. They're going to say, hey, I would like to work northeast because my job is by Tech Ridge. I don't know, in northeast Austin, east of 35. So I work by Tech Ridge. So I would like to like live over there, but I have a felony. So now they're open to all of northeast because someone with a felony just wants a spot that's decent. I mean, as long as it's like somewhere northeast, but you're never going to lease them south. Does that make sense? So in the northeast zone that they're interested in and they have a felony, there's like two or three options, right? So if you can just identify, and the database doesn't really do a good job at telling you like felony, like, so you can filter for criminal on your locator database, and it does a better job with like misdemeanors and an okay job with felonies. But with like felony violent crimes and stuff like that, I mean, it's always a gamble. The database will tell you like, hey, this list of apartments in the Northeast should work, but it's always open to like how the apartment reviews it. If they feel comfortable, they're going to compare your crime to like your income. So if you have like a felony from like 10 years ago, but you're making like 20 grand a month, that shows the property like, okay, this happened a long time ago. This guy's clearly successful and has a good head on his shoulders. He's making 20 grand a month. Then they approve you. But if you had a felony from a long time ago and it's like you make like 4 grand a month and you're trying to barely get qualified for a 1 bedroom, the property is going to be like, he's like 50 years old with a felony and makes like 3 grand a month. I don't know, and then so they might deny him. So I don't like to work with clients with felonies because it's just a gamble. Like even if Smart says like, hey, they should accept them, then you have them apply and then you follow up with them. Hey, I applied. You're like, awesome. I just leased someone, but then they denied them. And for whatever reason, they weren't comfortable with the applicant, even though your database says that they should accept them, then they don't, And so I just don't like to work with felony clients, generally speaking. But if you can identify the two or three in every little zone of your city that does work with them, it is easy work because you get a call, they have a felony, they want to like live central. So then you just shoot them the same three options every single time. So it is, I get like why locators work with felony clients, because when you really think about it as a locator, if you get like a super qualified 850 credit score client that makes $20,000 a month, so they have great income, great credit, no issues, and then you're like, what do you do, where do you work? And they're like, I work from home. And you're like, okay, because a big way to pinpoint someone's desired area is where they work or their daycare. Those are like the two biggest ones. Is where people always want to live fairly closer to work or absolutely closer to the daycare. If they have like a kid and they have a daycare, then they'll lease there every time. It's just a trick we teach. But to try to pull that feedback out of someone that has great credit, great income, and works from home, that's actually hard because then they have the whole city to decide from. And so your job as a locator is to pull feedback out of the person. Even if they don't know, you have to help them try to determine where they want to live. Because like someone, like for me, I apartment locate and I teach locating. So both of those things are working remote for me. And I have good income and good credit. So it's like if I was someone's client and you were my locator, you would be like, where do you want to live? And I'd be like, I don't know, probably just anywhere nice. I can live anywhere I want. So it becomes a little harder to be their locator because it's harder to like pinpoint and narrow down where you should recommend that they should live, And so that's why we do a 10-minute Zoom call to ask them more questions and try to help them understand where they want to live, right? So like for me, I could live anywhere I want in any city. So I chose like the nicer part. I like Southwest Austin. That's why I live Southwest, right? Like not far from Westlake area. So because I can live anywhere, But if someone is super qualified and doesn't know the city very well, it's kind of hard to like direct them like on where to lease, right? But if you work someone and they know they need to work, they know they need to live northeast because they work northeast, or they have a daycare northeast, and I don't know, baby mama is northeast, whatever, if they know they want to be northeast and they have a felony, it's kind of easy work, because you're like, okay, you have a felony, you need to be northeast, here are the 3 apartments that will take it. And that's it. And so every time you get calls like that, you just send them the same 3 places, boom, 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 and you can make $1,000 or $2,000, right? So I understand why locators work like criminal issue clients. I get it, but I just personally don't, because I don't like to gamble. I don't like when they apply and then we did a Zoom call and then they get denied and they're like, hey, I got denied, because I feel bad. I'm like, dang, I just told this guy to apply here knowing it would be a gamble, and then they got denied and wasted money. I don't like wasting people's money for any reason. It doesn't sit right with me, you know? So it's like, if I'm going to represent a client and say, hey, go apply here, these 3 should work, and they go and apply and they don't work, I feel bad. I'm like, he just lost like a $50 app fee, $200 deposit. He just lost money, you know? So I don't really like, sometimes they give the deposit back, but they keep the app fee and the admin fee always, by the way. So if someone applies somewhere and they get denied, they're not going to get their $50 app fee back. And a lot of the times they're not going to get their $150 admin fee back, but they may get the deposit back. I've seen Class C apartments that just don't give anything back, including the deposit. So I just don't like working. I don't like gambling with people's money and being like, try these, and then they get denied, because I feel bad. So instead, I just don't work with people with felonies. But I do see the appeal there of just sending over the same couple of spots every single time and just winging it. Right? I used to do that back in the day. Before I figured out like how to set up a good infrastructure, the same system that we teach, before I figured that out, like in my early first year as a locator, I was helping everyone, you know? So people were calling me with felonies. I was like, cool, go here, 3 places. Oh, you got a felony down south? Go here, 3 places. Go here. I didn't care. I was ruthless. You know, I was like, you got a felony? Go here, 3 places, right? But now I understand how to build a better system, pre-qual people, and now I don't have to work with clients that have criminal issues, and I don't have to gamble with people's money like that, right? So, yeah, it's just, that's why I don't work with criminal issues. What else is there to do? Any top producers in Austin? Me. Alexander says, I would love to refer you some leads who are looking for Austin. Okay. Well, if you want to refer them to me, Alex, I'll close them. Send them to rentwithnal.com, and then I'll work them. Or you can just give it to someone else. You know, give it to a new locator instead. Just give him your lead. Don't give him to me. I'll close them too fast. Hey guys, new realtor here. I recently took interest in apartment locating after watching Pierre's YouTube videos. Cool, and I've taken action. I have 4 people wanting to help me find their next apartment, so I asked my brokerage mentors to help me through the process. They told me the news, which kind of discouraged me. They showed me in the MLS that most landlords don't pay for all the work I'm doing, and my clients are... Okay, yeah. So your brokers have a misperception. So locating has nothing to do with the MLS or being a realtor. We don't even use the MLS at all. So with locators, you pay for a proprietary database that shows you all the apartments in your city that pay. And you also use the same database to send over the list, to create an invoice, and to keep track of your accounting, like your accounts payable, what's been paid and what's coming to you, right? With a basic calculator. So all that stuff is in your database. Okay, there's like 2 real providers. There's Spark and there's Smart. So pick one of those. Our student created Spark, which is cool. We have a lot of like industry changing people in the locating industry that we've taught through our program. So we're really proud of that. Also, we're at over 415 paid students right now at a less than 1% refund rate. Here's how you know that's true. Okay, here's how you know that's true. The first year we applied for Affirm and Klarna financing to give our students or our potential students a way to finance at 0% interest. We got denied. That's how you know this is true about the less than 1% refund rate that we have. We got denied. And so then I was trying to find out why. And then Affirm basically was like, you've only sold this thing 100 times, you know, and your refund rate is not less than 1%, right? So either way, you only sold this 100 times. So they didn't want to work with us. So we didn't get the financing secured. But now, over 4 years later that we've been coaching in this space, we have over 415 students, at a less than 1% refund rate. So we showed all that to a firm and reapplied. We're like, dude, it's less than 1% refund rate over 400 students. Come on. Just work, give us the Affirm financing at 0%, right? And then they finally approved us, and they're like, okay, you've sold this thing a lot of times, no one's refunding, so now we'll partner with you and give you all your students financing. Because how that works is when someone signs up for our program, they go through Affirm, we lose like 6% of the sale. Okay, so we lose money, but it gives our students the chance to finance it over 6 months at no interest. So Affirm. And once they use Affirm, it's on Affirm or Klarna to make sure you pay your installments. It's no longer our responsibility. So companies like Affirm or Klarna, they're not going to partner with some dumb company where everyone's refunding. They're not going to do that because they give you the approval, they give you the payout, and then if they can't collect from your client, I mean, then they lose. Right, because they pay us out immediately, hence why we lose the 6%. So that's sort of a way you can understand that we have sold a lot and we do have a low refund rate. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten the approval with Affirm or Klarna. So that is that. Anyhow, guys, I think I've been on here for long enough. So if you have any other questions or anything, a lot of your questions about the industry will be answered if you just go to nal.rent. A lot of questions are broken down in that 10-minute breakdown video. So you go to nal.rent, scroll down a little bit, and then there should be a video that explains the whole model, why it makes sense. And then if you want to book a call with us to see if me and my team of 6 other people can support you and give you an outline, for 90 days on what to do, a core digital course that'll give you the knowledge you need. But the 90-day outline is like almost more valuable than the digital course, right? It's talking to us live, booking a couple calls, and giving you an outline on like, this is how you take advantage of apartment locating to do 6 figures. The whole point of our program is to fast track your career into the $10,000 or more gross monthly production mark as fast as possible with our guidance through only apartment locating, okay? So that's what we can help you do. Okay. If you hear other people talk about how you can make $100,000 a month and all this stuff with locating, there was someone that joined our program earlier and he was like considering something else. And they were telling him he could make like $200,000 a month in locating as a solo agent. That's just not true. It's just not true. So with my company, we have a very realistic and conservative measurable goal that we tell everyone considering our program. We tell them that if they sign up for our program, attend the 2 book calls, get the 90-day outline, take the digital course, and show up on the coaching calls and ask questions, then they absolutely should be doing $10,000 or more per month because it's just realistic. All right. But if someone's going to tell you you can make $100,000, $200,000 a month with locating and you don't even need any assistance, it's just not true. Right? No one's done that. So it's if you're looking to do 7-8 figures as a solo agent, it's not going to happen as a solo agent with locating, right? It's just not going to happen. You'd have to have a brokerage firm to do that. But if you want to make $10,000 or more in the fastest way possible with locating, that is absolutely realistic. Okay? And then $50K gets real hard. That gets really hard to do $50K a month. It's just a lot of follow-up, a lot of talking to people. It is possible, but that's kind of like the ceiling. But if you want to do 10K or more, you absolutely can do it with the right system, the right infrastructure, the right guidance. So check out our website, nal.rent, if you're interested in support in making a bunch of money in real estate, right? That's unaffected from the NAR settlement. So that's cool. And you can work remote. That's the whole point. Okay, build a fast pipeline and then turn those renters that earned you 6 figures into home buyers later when they're looking to buy their first home. Hopefully this was valuable. Let me know. And again, you can go to nal.rent if you would like to book a call with us. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.